And welcome back to MinneSports, your one-stop shop. Today we have me, Sam Easy, Nolan O'Hara, and Blaine Weber to break down the last week of sports in a quick little roundup. We're going to talk about March Madness, the new Big East sending their 2 or none rules into the NCAA. NFL made some new catch rules. ESPN also released the 20 most dominant athletes, and we're going to react and make our own, essentially. For some Twins news, and also the NBA playoff picture. So to start off, we're going to go to March Madness, and we probably saw the greatest game of all time when number one overall Virginia getting absolutely pummeled by 20 points by this team I've never heard of.
It was ridiculous.
UMBC.
Yeah, their name is University of Maryland, Baltimore County.
What's
Their
their
name
mascot,
is
Blaine?
the Retrievers.
Would have you known that before the tournament started?
No, I've never heard of them. They
Hell
probably
no.
They don't even think they have their own gym. You just look at Virginia and how. I think they lost one game, and that was in overtime.
2 games.
There was one or two games.
Yes, 2.
And one of those was in overtime.
Mm-hmm.
They dominated North Carolina. They beat Duke. They swept the ACC. It was 17-1. Virginia Tech beat them in overtime, I think. And they were the most dominant team in college basketball, and they blew it. I don't know how they blew it. Tony Bennett should be fired. With a team like that, I don't know how you lose to a no-name.
There's got to be a first for everything, right?
It does.
I was thinking, what's going to happen first, a perfect bracket or a 16 beating a 1? One of those have happened. A perfect bracket is unlikely,
Never.
to say the least. Hey, it might.
Why? Why do you think it'll happen?
What do you think's going to happen?
16 finally beat a 1,
So I get people used to say this huge number of like 9 quintillion, but then people would narrow it down immediately because they're all say, oh, well, has a 16 never beat a 1? No. So we can immediately mark that off and say, all right, now the odds are 1 in a couple billion. But now you can't say that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
This is a new game where 16s can suddenly beat 1s and almost go to the Sweet 16 as we saw.
Yeah.
Bizarre.
This year is ridiculous.
Well, UMBC, I think it was kind of funny. Stephen A. put it the best. He said, UMBC, what is that, like a community college?
They
I've
are.
never heard of them before.
Oh,
They are.
And I think it was kind of funny, too, because everybody was on the Kansas might, if a 16's ever going to beat a 1, it's going to be this
Everyone's
Penn in
looking
Kansas.
at Penn. The Ivy League is never gets put as a 16, and the times they have almost beat the 1s, as we saw in Princeton versus Georgetown in the early days of the tournament when that game was a 1-point game where Georgetown won.
There have been close games where 16 seeds have given a 1 for the run. Money.
Gonzaga 5 years ago, couple last minutes had to put up some shots and pull it out.
But this was a pounding. This was by
20.
This wasn't just a buzzer
no
beater.
joke.
Oh yeah, UMBC magically came back, it was.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting too because
they got worked.
When I was watching it, I was only able to watch it from the second half on. So I turned it on. It was a tie game at halftime, right?
Yeah.
So I turned
21-21.
and it was UMBC was starting to pull away, and then they got to the point where they got up by 10, and then they kept pushing it to 15, and then Virginia might cut it to 10, but then that was it. They were a steady 10-point lead the entire game, which was astonishing, really, because you never heard of this UMBC before. Virginia was the most picked team to win it all as far as brackets are concerned. They were the most picked team, and they lost the first game. We were all on the wrong 1 seed was going to get upset. Kansas, made it through their game pretty easily, but UMBC was able to take down Virginia, and that was one of the more impressive wins for any team in the tournament.
Any team, I think,
probably ever
in the history.
Yeah,
because Virginia would embarrass teams. Is the way it is. They embarrass teams.
And they got embarrassed.
And I gotta say though, Virginia basketball. They did play Virginia basketball, and what did they end up with? 57 points. It was 50. It wasn't 51, 71 or something. Something like that.
They played the exact same basketball we saw Arizona lose to Buffalo the night before by 20 points again.
But they lost by 20 points. But that's how much Virginia scores. Virginia probably averaged 54 points in contention. They held teams to about the same. So Virginia didn't score. It wasn't a high scoring team, and so they probably played as well as they could have. I don't know how UMBC managed to do it.
Another team to look at right now is Loyola Chicago, who has beaten Miami, and they beat
Tennessee.
That's right. Two essentially buzzer beaters.
The seeding this year is terrible. Tennessee, I don't know how Tennessee collapses. They during the regular season they sweep Kentucky. I don't really know how well they stood in the SEC. I think they had to have been top 3.
SEC is just
It's weird. There isn't a dominant Kentucky team this year.
Florida, insert another team.
Georgia was there. Arkansas was there. Alabama was there. It's just a weird year for the SEC, which I think is good.
That's what I was.
But those 2 Loyola Chicago games, those were unbelievably exciting. They were both great games too, especially the first game against Miami. That buzzer beater. I was disappointed because I picked Loyola to win that game. I didn't pick them to go to the Sweet 16, but I did pick them to win that game. And I was like, oh great, there goes my bracket's down, and then boom, buzzer beater shot. And then against Tennessee with 3 seconds left, that pull-up jumper that kind of rattles around, bounces off the backboard and goes in. Both those have been fantastic games, and Loyola Chicago that's the weakest bracket now that they've taken out the top teams. No more Cincinnati, no more Tennessee, no more Virginia. So you can't tell me Loyola Chicago can't beat anybody else there, and that's going to be an interesting bracket.
Against Nevada, Nevada has had some quality wins. I don't know if you watched Texas and Cincinnati, but I mean Cincinnati was ahead against Nevada, and then Nevada. I mean, what was it? A 32.
It was a 20-point.
No. What am I thinking? I'm thinking about a different team. No, they were down.
The biggest collapse.
Yeah, they were down.
Missing a bunch of free throws, not knowing what to do, and they basically the last 10 seconds they gave away the ball.
Well, and the other thing is to make note of it. Cincinnati. If Virginia was the best defensive team in the nation, Cincinnati was number 2. They did rank that. They ranked best defensive team. Cincinnati was number 2, and so it's kind of crazy that Cincinnati got beat by a Nevada team that got hot when they needed to. So.
Well, with the Cincinnati game too, I'm going to be honest. I turned the game off. Cincinnati was killing them. I was like, all right, well, this game's over. I don't need to watch anymore. It was over, and then I get an alert on my phone saying like upset alert. Nevada over. I was like, what? They were just down by 20-some points. Or I think I changed it to the Wolves game after. But, they were down by 20-some points.
It's ridiculous.
It was unbelievable. I don't know. I have no idea how they got back into that game. That's crazy.
I got to tell you that Nevada does have the Martin twins. The Martin twins, keep an eye out for them against Chicago because they're probably. I don't know which one's better, Cody or the other one's name, Cody, and I don't know, but keep an eye out for those guys.
All right, so Arnett discuss this topic. We came to a consensus before the podcast. There's about 3 teams left who we think have the best shot in that championship. We're not saying these 3 teams, are a shoo-in because hell, we've seen crazy stuff this year already. 2 number 1s out, a couple number 2s out, a lot of number 3s. It's been crazy. Our consensus we've come down to is a Villanova, a Kansas, or a Duke, at least in the championship game, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're thinking.
I don't know about Kansas. If I had a top 3 to pick right now for who I think is the best 3 chance to win, I think it would be Villanova and Duke for sure. But I don't know. I might have to go with Michigan on this one. Michigan's a tough team.
Oh no! What were you saying?
For the top 3 teams that have a best chance to win. I think you got Duke, you got Villanova, and I think Michigan would be my 3rd. Just because I think Kansas is, I don't know.
I'm going to tend to agree with you. I'm going to say Villanova. I'm going to say Duke, and then I'm going to follow up with Michigan. Honestly, the team that is going to get beat, I think the 2 teams, the 2 high seeds that are going to have the chance to get beat is going to be Kansas and Duke. I see Kansas, they live and die by the 3. They're not as deep. If Udoka Azubuike can come off of this injury and start dominating against a good Clemson team that, frankly, I think has been shocking. Clemson lost one of their better players, and they're lighting it up.
There's a Clemson Auburn, right?
Oh,
I
took Clemson.
I saw Auburn, Clemson Auburn. I was like, isn't this a football game?
Yeah,
I thought it was a football game.
But along with that, Duke has had questionable losses. I mean, they went back to back with St. John's team that had lost 11 straight. And who the heck else did they lose to after that? Because I followed it. But I think Duke, their 2-3 zone is not as good. I think Syracuse has a chance to beat them. And if they play Kansas, it really depends Duke's size versus Kansas's shooting. And but Villanova, I think, has the best chance to win it all easily. They're not going to get upset.
So of the top 3 seeds left, which ones do you think are going to be upset first? We got the top 3 seeds. I mean, they're Duke, Kansas, and Villanova are the top 3 seeds. Which one do you think is going to get upset first?
Well, if we check the matchups, Villanova is...
They're going to play West Virginia.
Villanova, West Virginia.
A good West Virginia team.
We got Kansas, Clemson. Yep. We got Syracuse, Duke.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go on a limb here. I think Duke is going to get beat by a hot
I agree.
Team.
Syracuse,
Boeheim,
yeah.
To be fair, Krzyzewski has the most tournament experience left with Boeheim in there.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, I think Boeheim's going to pull it out. Syracuse got to the Final Four 1 year as a 10 seed. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, they did against
again.
North Carolina. Yep.
I believe it'll happen again.
Honestly, I agree with that. If Syracuse can contain Duke's shooting, because if they can contain that, and if they can pop Marvin Bagley in the chops, if you play some defense against Bagley, he kind of gets out of rhythm. Wendell Carter, if he has a tough game, which you can get Duke in foul trouble. You can pop them in the mouth, and if you keep their shooting low, because their shooting isn't as good, Gary Trent has a lot of cold stretches, and who else can shoot on that team? I mean, no one else can shoot.
Well,
Grayson Allen can
Grayson Allen,
up, yeah. I mean, he's a third. He's become like a 4th option for him, because Bagley is number 1.
That's so bizarre.
Carter, I'd say, is number 2. I'd even say Trent over Allen.
I can agree with that, but seniors are going to be a big deal when it comes to this tournament here. The experience, you can't change that for anything. Yep. I'm gonna say Kansas has the best chance of being upset.
Yeah,
I'm not too high on Clemson, but I don't see Duke losing to Syracuse because I don't like that Syracuse zone. I don't. The only reason that they didn't lose to Michigan State is because Michigan State had some of the worst shooting you could have ever seen.
Yeah.
I watched the first half of that game before I had to drive back from the cities, but they were shooting awful, and it was only getting worse. I mean, what was it? The last 8 minutes of the game, they didn't make a field goal. That's unbelievable. You can't expect that from Duke. I don't expect that. I don't expect that all of a sudden Grayson Allen and Gary Trent are just going to be completely cold from 3.
Yep.
I don't think that Syracuse is going to be able to pull it off against Duke. I think Duke has a good chance against them.
Yeah.
I think Kansas could lose to Clemson just because it's Kansas.
Yeah.
And this happens to them.
They
lose to football schools in the tournament by some kind of a fluke because Kansas can't make it to the Final Four. So
Self is not a good
that's just my I don't like Kansas, because they're gonna find some way to choke it away.
Okay. So. We're gonna stay on the topic of NCAA coverage here. The Big East Conference has come out with a new proposition of either 2 years of college or don't come to college.
Easily.
What are your thoughts on that?
Definitely think that that's a great thing. I think that the NBA and the NCAA has been wishy-washy for years. Football, it's always been you go 3 years, and after 3 years removed from high school, you can go into the NFL. And the NBA has changed so much. It's been changing from, we're going to raise the draft date. No, we're going to lower. Oh, you can come out high. No, you can't go out high. No, wait. So it's one and done. No, and because the NBA and the NCAA has slipped, it's allowed for everybody to wiggle. And I look at the NFL is the most successful, successful as far as college sports. These guys who are one and done don't want to be there. We always talked about this before. Ben Simmons did not want to be in college. He was taking intro to oceanography
and flunked out.
Really, and he had like a 1.2. I mean, he had like a 1-point GPA.
Literally just showed up to class.
Marvin Bagley doesn't want to be in college. Wendell Carter doesn't want to be in college. These guys don't want to be there. Guys who do, can go there for 2 years, and I think that that's good. They'll be mature enough.
Kind of like a contract you're signing.
Exactly.
Not basically.
It is a
no
contract.
opt-out. It's basically.
Well, I really like it too because
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, there's some players who just need more time to develop. I think like Kyle Kuzma, who I think he went all 4 years.
No,
but
he was
look at how well
he was a junior.
Was he?
I believe, yeah.
But either way, 3 years of college, he's transitioning really well to the NBA, where he probably wouldn't have if you had just gone one and done.
We've seen that with Chris Dunn, who went for 2 years.
Yeah, there are players who.
I think he was a redshirt too.
Yeah, Buddy Hield went 3.
Yep.
But there are a couple players who.
But he was a
senior.
He was a
Was
senior.
he a senior? Yeah, that's right, all 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, so some of these players just need more time to develop, and the ones who can come out one and done can come out of high school. It just comes down to that.
Exactly.
Kevin Garnett, he didn't need to go to college. Kobe Bryant didn't need to go to college.
LeBron
did not need to go to college. So
most infamous.
If you can just take that top tier talent, you can draft them straight out of high school, so they don't have to waste their time, waste the college's time in college. And then the players who actually want to go to college or want to spend some time developing in college can stay for at least 2 years.
Exactly.
Get that developed, and then there'll be a better transition to the NBA, or they can focus more on
Yep.
school. It'll be good for the colleges. It'll be good for the NBA.
Exactly.
I've always hated that rule that they can't come straight out of high school.
That's stupid.
I think it's a really good idea. I think that's a really smart idea by the Big East.
Definitely.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good if they actually follow through with that, both the NCAA and the NBA.
Yep.
Sure thing. All right.
I agree.
We're gonna go away from the NCAA scene now. We're gonna go to the NFL with their ever controversial catch rule, which they're changing this season. But I mean, what does that really mean? What are they gonna change about the catch rule?
I don't really know a whole lot about it, but I know that me personally, I think that the catch rule is ridiculous. I honestly, I know I don't remember what sports show I was watching, noted that you think how many historical catches, historical big catches would have been overturned by this rule. I mean, Plaxico Burress catching it on his head, they would have overturned it because the ball would have hit the ground. And it helped him secure the pass. It's incomplete, and the Giants would have lost the Super Bowl to an 18-0 Patriots team, dominant Patriots team.
Yeah.
Just for one for example, ratings. I think that ratings are going down because of it too. It's getting too technical. This is football.
I agree.
I mean, it needs to be.
Do you think this is a time for another upstart league to pounce on the NFL with their upcoming? Also, there's a potential lockout coming in 2 years when the XFL will be launching in 2020. When the lockout will happen, another league is starting in 2019 called the Alliance of America. I think that's personally going to fail or simply get sucked up by this XFL team coming up.
Listen, I don't think that there's ever going to be another conference to rival the NFL. So because the NFL is so powerful.
I could see the XFL being essentially a minor league.
A minor league?
Could you agree on that?
A minor
farm
league football?
system. Kind of like two.
It would have to be associated with the NFL.
It'd have to be.
Point.
If you're gonna say it's like a minor league team, then it would have to be
NBA G League or
the minor or AAA and AA baseball. You see multiple leagues for baseball.
But that's not what Vince McMahon's trying to do. He's trying to.
He has to realize that. No.
I don't think
that's not gonna happen. He needs to realize. Make a farm system. He'll still make money. He'll go to college. Go to college towns, packed with people. Like Ann Arbor, Michigan. Go to Ann Arbor, Michigan, and go play in the spring. You're gonna get lots of fans because they get 110,000 in the big house every single game. 110,000 people to go watch a college football game. You're telling me you couldn't get this at least half the success in a spring league?
I also don't think that this is a good idea. If it's going to be a minor league, kind of G League sort of, I feel like a lot of kids are going to kind of use it as the NBA. A lot of these kids leave early. Just to use, for example, my North Carolina example with Tony Bradley. Tony Bradley went one and done. He shouldn't have gone one and done. He averaged 15 minutes a game and scored 7 points. But he famously said that he didn't want to be in college anymore because the competition is better in the G League. Well, I think that's going to start happening in football. If you give these guys another option to get out of college, because I think that if guys would go one and done in football, they would go one and done in football.
Why not?
Why not? Exactly. These guys get paid hundreds of millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars, whatever. And I think that allowing another league would allow the college game to get hurt. It would allow for guys to leave. I don't think that's a good idea at all.
Well, I don't think there's a room for any kind of competing league. The NFL's got a monopoly. I think they'll always have a monopoly.
Yep.
But here are the actual changes that the competition committee is planning on changing to the catch rule. So this is what would constitute a catch now under this new rule. First of all, control.
Yeah.
Second would be 2 feet down or another body part. And then third, a football move such as a third step, reaching, extending for the goal line or line to gain, or the ability to perform such an act. So that's what's supposed to.
So what got changed?
That they removed the like going to the ground. What is it they call it? Like surviving the ground. That's what they're getting rid of.
Surviving the ground.
The nonsense that if you catch the ball, take a step, and then the ball hits the ground, that's not a catch anymore. Which, that's a step in the right direction, but for me, that's still such a murky, what is control? What is a football move? That's going to come up again and again, and there's going to be one stupid play where it's like, he doesn't have control. Control is if you got the ball in your hands, it stays in your hands. To me, that's control. I think a catch, they need to get rid of the terminology. They just need to make it to, people know what a catch is when they see it. And you need to go eyeball test, not this control. It's got to survive the ground. That's always been the stupidest rule I've ever. I'm glad they're getting rid of that. That's a step in the right direction, but this is still leaving way too much for murky. That's not a football move. That is a football move. That's not, control. So I don't think they're going as far enough with it. It seems it's too. It's not. It needs to go a step further. That's what I think, at least.
Yeah, I think just getting rid of all these murky rules in general. It's so stupid. What constitutes this? And my thing is, if they're going to be close plays, these, when the officials relook at it, it's going to take longer. It's just going to be. It's not good.
Yeah, so, that's just the problem, is it's going to be up to judgment still. They need to change that. There's just too much with that. But
exactly.
Anyway, to transition now, ESPN came out with this list a couple days ago of the 20 most dominant athletes in the last 20 years.
Who has ESPN?
I got it pulled up.
He's got it pulled up. Okay. If you could read off this list, as it starts out, it doesn't start out too bad. Tiger Woods number 1. That seems reasonable enough.
A top 5.
LeBron James number 2.
I think LeBron James. LeBron James number 1. Yeah. Well, I put him number 1.
Number 1 and number 2.
When I look at number 3, is Peyton Manning.
Over Tom Brady.
I understand Peyton Manning was a dominant quarterback, but how is... And if you want to put him ahead of Brady because maybe of individual accomplishment, I can maybe understand that.
Yeah.
But how is he at 3? And if you keep scrolling down the list, Brady's at 20.
You could argue this: Dan Marino was probably one of the best quarterbacks in NFL history. But how many Super Bowls did he win? And I always go back to this: Trent Dilfer.
Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl.
The Ravens. He won a Super Bowl. That makes him automatically better than Dan Marino on any day of the week because he won a Super Bowl.
I don't know if I agree with that. To me, it's not about winning Super Bowls. That's why they have Peyton Manning at 3 and Brady at 20, because it's not how many Super Bowls did you win. It's how dominant were you on the sport. Trent Dilfer wasn't a dominant. It was the Ravens' defense that was dominant.
He's won a championship. Do you possibly think by any chance that ESPN, bashing Brady for the past 2 years about Deflategate has any effect on this list?
Could be political.
Maybe it could be. I could maybe see that because they left. I don't know why they left Michael Phelps off.
Michael Phelps.
They did put PED. They put Barry Bonds in there. They did put Barry Bonds in there. So it would be maybe if they just don't like Brady more than Barry. I guess I don't see that. But you keep going down this list. Number 4, Jimmy Johnson, NASCAR.
No.
Number
He's
4,
not an athlete.
If you want to put him in there, fine. But why is he number 4? Yeah. And Michael Phelps is not on the list. Kobe Bryant's not on the list. Yeah. 5, Roger Federer. That
I can agree.
Definitely. Makes more sense. But he's number 5. Where's Serena Williams? She's down way far. She's like 12. So I don't understand 6? That. You got Floyd Mayweather at number 8. How is he so low? He's 50-0.
Yeah.
50-0 all time.
Is he the richest? Is he the richest athlete right now?
Yes.
Or is it Tiger Woods that's richer?
No,
it's Floyd more recently.
After the McGregor fight, I believe Floyd did come on top with valued over $1 billion. Yeah.
Is it?
9 Marta, 10 Usain Bolt. Usain Bolt is the fastest person in the history of the planet.
Exactly. And Jimmy Johnson. And Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy Johnson is ahead of him. Jimmy Johnson's lost a couple NASCAR races. Usain Bolt really didn't lose any races other than injuries. He's the fastest man in the history of the world, and he's the 10th most dominant athlete. Just think about that.
He would kick.
So there are some definite question marks on this. You got 11 Lionel Messi. Okay. That you gotta make sense. 12 Serena Williams. Why is she so low? It's beyond me.
She should be top 7. I put her 7.
I have her at 5.
Winning while pregnant.
I mean, you win the Australian Open while pregnant.
Yeah, that's a pretty good.
That's unbelievable.
I still rate Federer over Williams because there is simply more competition in men's sports. There's more people.
Or Djokovic and Nadal.
You could almost put Djokovic up there as well. I think yes. There's just not enough competition for Williams to get higher on that list. It's unfortunate, but it's true.
Serena Williams kind of dominates.
You got her sister, Venus Williams, and Maria Sharapova to go against her in the past 20 years. There's been a few. I've seen a few names come up, but I immediately see them go away. I never see Williams go away, but she should be higher on that list. But I think Federer should always be above Williams.
Well, you take a look at. Keep going down this list. 13, Lauren Jackson. She's not the best player in the WNBA.
I can name so many
Who's
more.
that?
She's not the best player in the WNBA.
I don't even know.
Why is she 13?
What about Candace Parker?
Exactly.
What about
I've seen you say like Brittany Griner. You have
exactly.
Dominated
Maya Moore.
Maya Moore single-handedly led the Lynx.
And Lauren Jackson. I'm gonna be honest. I don't follow the WNBA a whole lot, but I know enough to I've heard enough. I've seen enough to know that. She's not the most popular. I mean, maybe if it's a popularity contest, maybe that's why Candace Parker. But I don't think so. I don't think she's the best player in the WNBA, and she's at 13.
What about that girl from UConn? Who's what was her name? Brianna. She has a huge wingspan. She's 6'4", and she's got this ridiculous wingspan. But she's from UConn. I didn't even say that I even know who she is over this Lauren Jackson.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, they have Barry Bonds at 17.
No.
I think that's low for Barry Bonds.
You
can say the PEDs if you want to eliminate PED users. Okay, fine, but if you're gonna put Barry Bonds on the list, you should put him a little higher than 17.
And I guess the thing that I always say about Barry Bonds is he didn't need those PEDs. He
would have made the Hall of Fame if he never took PEDs.
He didn't need them. McGuire didn't need them.
Adding
Sosa
Pete
didn't
Rose?
Where's
Where's Pete Rose as one of the? Oh no, wait, sorry. This is last
20 years.
Oh, sorry.
Reed.
Oh, I can't.
he hasn't quite understood this the whole time. We've said this. The first thing he said was Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan hasn't. He was not dominant in 1998, unfortunately.
Oh my god.
Oh, what a bummer, right?
But 18, Mike Trout.
Why
is he in the top 20? Big Papi wasn't in their top 20. Derek Jeter wasn't in their top 20. But Mike Trout?
I'd put Derek Jeter over Mike Trout. I think Mike Trout's only come on these past few years.
I'd put Albert Pujols over Mike Trout. Mike Trout. I don't understand how some of these are left out.
Pujols' name is just not relevant enough anymore to even just. It'd be like, oh yeah,
but it was
I
in the
remember
past 20 years.
Early 2000s,
but
he was a household name.
If this was the past 10 years from 2010 to 2000, of course he'd be on the list. But I mean, those past 8 years, he's just fallen off the face of the earth, become a below-average player, in my opinion.
Yeah. And they're paying him like $20-some million.
That's just Los Angeles. They were paying
Los Angeles.
Come on.
And then you got 19, Manny Pacquiao. That makes sense. He's been the second biggest name in boxing, other than Floyd Mayweather. And 20th, Tom Brady.
No way.
I don't understand.
It's bias.
It makes no sense. Tom Brady is, in most people's estimation, the greatest quarterback ever.
Yeah. You have
him at 20.
You look at his performance the year before, when they played Atlanta. They were down by how much, and he came back and he single-handedly led that team.
And that game was dominant. The record for most yards ever thrown in a Super Bowl. What did he do this year? He broke his own record for most yards ever thrown in a Super Bowl at 40 years old. He's still not falling off at all.
There's still a few stats that ESPN even has on the player that's bizarre. Most postseason wins as a starting quarterback. 27.
How does that
5 Super Bowl victories. I think that alone should put him in the top 5.
In the top 3 almost.
I have Brady at 6. But so I went through a list.
Are we gonna go through?
I went through a list, and I'll just go quickly. Except for when we get to the top 5, we'll go a little more in depth. So 20, I had Big Papi. He's dominant. 3 World Series, the best batting average ever in the World Series. 19, I had Lindsey Vonn. She was the first American woman ever to win a gold medal in the downhill skiing at the Olympics. She's got 8 World Cup titles.
Yeah, all right.
I mean,
she's fair.
Yeah.
I might want to put someone else there.
You look
but
at
I
you look
can
at the way
understand
the
why.
Scandinavians and the Germans and the Swiss, how they dominate in skiing.
not
That's
fun.
a pretty big feat. Yeah.
I'm used to winning all the time in the Summer Olympics.
Yeah, and now
Winter
it's
Olympics
like-
just make me upset, except
Yeah.
for the snowboarding
Just-
event.
I just want to see the Americans win them all.
I just
We
want to see
had-
snowboarding. So
We had less medals than the Netherlands.
Hey,
at
but
one
we
point.
definitely
It's like,
dominated the snowboarding.
oh
We
yeah,
did.
'cause
Shaun White
who
is-
else
Chloe
snowboards?
Kim.
Yeah, Kim.
Chloe
Yeah.
Kim.
But yeah, you gotta add.
Yeah.
You're good. We'll get to
18, I had Rafael Nadal.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan. I put him over Djokovic.
it.
That's probably
that's
more
a little
of my
bias, yeah.
personal bias because
Yeah.
I like him better than Djokovic. But though, I mean, Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, those three
Yep.
best three male tennis players
bet.
the last 20 years. 17, Derek Jeter.
Yep.
He's the Yankees' all-time leader in hits. That's a franchise that's had a lot of people who've gotten a lot of hits. Derek Jeter's, top of the top. 5 World Series, 5 Gold Gloves. I mean,
Yep.
Derek Jeter deserves to be in there. Shaun White, 16. I mean, he won. This last year's Olympics was enough. 15, Shaq.
Okay.
14, Jimmy Johnson.
No, why? You shouldn't even be on that.
I mean,
list.
you
Come
have to-
on.
He.
You gotta put one NASCAR racer. in
Why?
there.
They don't. They sit in a car. These guys.
If it's shown
all
on
these
ESPN,
people-
it counts as a sport.
It's not an athletic sport.
Even those
It's
kids
not
from
an athletic
Scripps
sport.
National Spelling Bee.
But there
Come
are
on.
people who say golf isn't a sport too.
Golf is that's a different kind of sport. We'll get to
Different kind
listen,
of
it's
sport.
number
Okay,
one,
okay,
it is the
oh,
hardest
okay.
athletic sport ever. It is an athletic sport. You do have to train.
I agree with you. I agree.
You gotta
with you,
train
but
to drive-
You can't. I can't drive a car 200 miles an
But
hour,
that's
or
true,
20 million
but-
laps around a track.
But it's not even comparable.
It takes
It's not comparable.
skill. I mean,
It does. It takes skill, but all you do is. I mean, the most like maybe moving your arms and your right foot.
I
It's
tend to
probably the
agree with you. I'm not a
most-
NASCAR fan. I don't like watching NASCAR.
So you're not a NASCAR fan, no?
You
I
have
think
to
you should be a NASCAR fan.
You have
Right?
to put.
gosh.
You have to
Right?
put
Come on, Blaine.
one
Science.
NASCAR driver.
Why have to
NASCAR
upset
is
our
great.
Midwestern viewers?
They're gonna be like, that's a terrible Southern accent.
13, Lionel Messi.
Yep. Yeah, he's. I think
Yeah.
he should be a little
12,
higher.
Sidney Crosby.
What about?
I can't believe
Beckham, though?
ESPN didn't mention one hockey player.
They didn't put one hockey player in
Bizarre.
there.
I could put 2. I could put Alexander Ovechkin and Sidney Crosby.
Yeah, and
How
they
come
didn't
you
put
put?
one. of them.
How
How
you
is
wouldn't
there-
put Beckham on the list for or what about?
Are you talking about David Beckham?
Yeah, I'm talking about Beckham. I'm talking about soccer. And
Well,
then I'm talking.
all
And then
right.
what about?
I
What
know
about
nothing about
That,
soccer.
if it's a popularity contest, sure.
I know enough
who's the
about
guy?
soccer to argue against
Who's
that.
the other? Who's the other?
Ronaldo.
Cristiano
Oh,
Ronaldo.
Ronaldo. Yeah. What about Ronaldo?
I don't follow enough soccer.
I
I
would-
put one soccer player.
Lionel and Cristiano should both be on the list for being
Probably.
arguably the 2 most dominant soccer players
And-
of all time.
And not only that,
Pele?
they're athletes.
They're more dominant than Pele. Pele got
Soccer
a bunch of cheap
players-
goals.
yeah.
These 2 carry teams. They've won so many titles, so many scoring records. If Pele played today, he wouldn't be as good.
Well,
And
ESPN did
they're
have
athletes.
both Lionel
Soccer
Messi
players
and
are
Ronaldo
athletes, not
top
like
20.
Jimmy Johnson, who is not an athlete. They're
We'll
athletes.
have another podcast to
They're the
discuss
most-
what's
they're
a
the-
sport
they're
and what's
probably the
not a
most
sport.
fit
Yeah,
individuals
Can we
we'll do
agree
it
on this?
individual.
We're just gonna make a list and we're just gonna
Okay,
go
fine.
off. All right,
All right,
we'll
let's
do
go.
that. We'll
Okay.
do that soon. All
Okay.
right. I'll agree.
11, Peyton Manning.
No,
Peyton Manning definitely should be in the top 20. I think 3 was too high, especially because they had Brady at 20. But Peyton Manning,
That's
you
just
can't
bias.
deny he
Get over
was
it.
dominant. You can't deny he was a dominant quarterback. 2 Super Bowls, 5 MVPs. Peyton Manning was one of the greatest quarterbacks. I mean, the Brady-Manning rivalry is one of the best 2 quarterback rivalries ever. You can't deny that. You can't deny Peyton Manning was a dominant player in the NFL. Blaine's going to be really hating me on this one.
All right, say it.
10 Barry Bonds.
He's a great belt.
He's a great baseball player, but I just think he didn't. Like you said earlier, he does not need the PEDs to be
I
good.
think most of these guys take them to rejuvenate. They take them to heal faster. I mean, Barry Bonds. You look at his transition from being. I don't know how old he was with the Pirates, but there's a definite change from when he was with Pittsburgh, to the end of his career when he was with San Francisco. But I think he was talented enough not
Well,
to
to
miss
me,
them.
I mean,
I guess he does warrant a spot in this.
I'm not a
list.
huge baseball guy. I don't watch a lot of it. I like watching the Twins all the time. Why is PED so prevalent in baseball and it's not in basketball, football, sports that you need to be more physical in? I mean,
yeah.
because when it comes down to it, how much can steroids really help you in baseball? You have to be able to hit the ball to knock it out of the park. I mean, maybe you get some distance on it, but how helpful can PEDs really be in baseball?
To be fair, there are a lot of baseball players out there who, especially pitchers in the sense. I know he's not a pitcher, but I've heard in the past of people taking medication, getting approved by the MLB. It's simply just forgetting to notify the MLB, and then boom, you're gone for half the season because you simply failed to do your job. For all these PEDs, it's like you said, it doesn't make any sense.
No, that's actually a really good point. I never actually considered. We should maybe discuss that next time. Why do baseball players take them more than any?
I think we should. We're gonna get off topic if we discuss.
I know we are getting enough.
I know, but I just one thing too. Just one last thing about that is in the NFL you don't see that much. You see the few people like the Vontaze Burficts are the ones who get in trouble.
Goodbye.
I mean, he gets in trouble, but that's a player who's got a history, who's always getting in trouble. So you expect that kind of stuff from him, but you don't see it really much at all through the rest of the NFL. You see it all the time in baseball.
All the time.
To me, that's one that I've never understood because it's not a physical game.
Sure.
9, Kobe Bryant. I think it was an atrocity that they left him off of the top 20. You can't put him in the top 20. Like, I get we've kind of forgotten about Kobe because we saw Kobe before and we saw it better and it was called Michael Jordan. But Kobe not in the top 20 of the last 20 years is a travesty.
He's a generational athlete. You have Michael Jordan, then Kobe Bryant taking over.
And then now you have James Harden. These are these two guards.
Sure.
You got the next one taking
definitely
spot. 8, Roger Federer.
Yeah,
obviously he's been he's been on the top of the three male tennis players who have been dominant with Federer and Nadal. 7, LeBron James.
Yep, I think he should.
Higher.
I think you should put him higher.
Higher.
Honestly. You bet. He's
Name all those Eastern Conference championships that have featured a game without LeBron.
How were the finals in the last
apparently, according to Nolan,
finals. He's
better. He's a better player than Michael Jordan ever was.
See, that should tell you something. If I have him at number 7, and I think he's the greatest basketball player of all time.
Read off the rest now. Read off the rest of the list.
We'll get to that.
Read it off.
All right.
Read it
6,
off.
Tom Brady.
Okay. Yeah.
5, Serena Williams.
Okay.
No.
4, Usain Bolt.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
3, Tiger Woods.
Yep.
Yeah.
2, Michael Phelps.
Yep.
Who there was another one they left off the list entirely.
I think Michael Phelps should be a top 5.
The most decorated Olympian ever, and he's not in the top 20 most dominant athletes.
Yeah.
You got to be kidding.
And it's such a competitive sport as swimming is. It's a ridiculous sport.
It's not easy to win.
No. You're looking at these guys. And these guys are world-class athletes that are dog-tired, panting like dogs at the end of their race.
You sweat so much in that pool. It's crazy.
I mean, they're like, and it's crazy.
And he's won how many medals? 28 medals. 23 of which are gold.
How many? What's the
he's not in the top 20 most dominant
athlete.
I don't know, but it's pretty darn good. It's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
And number one, Floyd Money Mayweather.
Yeah.
We had to add the money in there.
You gotta put him there.
He's not only did he go 50-0, but he made his way to be the richest athlete in the world because he picked his fights at the perfect time to make the most money. I mean, he's champion of 5 different weight classes. He won 3 gold gloves before turning pro. I mean, I don't know how you can argue Floyd Mayweather being... They had him really low. They had him at like 8.
That's ridiculous.
Floyd Mayweather went 50-0. No boxers ever. Rocky Marciano had the best record in boxing, 49-0. Floyd took his cupcake fight with Conor McGregor. Took it. I mean, that's not really a real fight, but Conor McGregor did get his boxing lessons.
It counts.
So Floyd Mayweather 50-0, the best record ever, never fell off, dominated through.
No, so, I gotta say he's probably not the best boxer ever, but
I'm not arguing he's the best boxer ever. I'm saying he's the most dominant athlete in the last 20 years. I mean, obviously Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, George Foreman, all those big heavyweights obviously were better boxers than Floyd Mayweather.
He's just the most dominant.
He's been the most dominant athlete in the last 20 years.
Sam, do you want to go or do you want? Because do you have a?
Let's see. Yeah. Where do you rank some of these? You didn't like my LeBron at 7.
I think LeBron James. You just see him carry teams. Sure, okay, he has a few talented players, but every single year it's LeBron James in the finals.
He can play.
We've come to expect that from a guy who can just dominate the court.
Yep.
Every time he goes on, he's gotten so good in these past few years. Everyone's thinking he's got to fall off at some point. He just gets better. He gets better.
34?
This is crazy.
Yeah.
He can go to any team he wants to, and they will at least be in the top 3 seeds, and they'll still go to the finals because his whole team will suddenly be healthy again, go to the finals, and at least compete. Sure, they've gotten not really blown out, but they've gotten flat out beat in some of these finals.
Warriors
but they at least compete. They win a few games. They don't get 4-0 swept. I mean, he's won 3 titles now?
Yep.
It's not a lot of titles to his name, but conference championships to his name. Oh my goodness.
Well, you just look at the way the Cavaliers in particular play without him on the court. It's not even comparable. I mean, when last year when Kyrie, when LeBron would come off and Kyrie would kind of take over the show, they weren't even close to and LeBron can play all 5. He can play all 5 positions on the court. He's ridiculous.
So,
LeBron, yeah. So you always question me on this. I've been saying LeBron is the greatest player of all time.
Yeah, he's number 7 on your list. All right.
Nope.
Number 7, most dominant.
All right.
There were a lot more dominant, but here's the thing about LeBron. The argument of Michael Jordan over LeBron is always, Michael Jordan 6 for 6.
Yeah.
How about all the times he didn't get to the finals?
I don't know. I don't really know the statistics.
How about that?
That's 6 years.
He didn't get to the finals once before Scottie Pippen came.
I don't really
LeBron's been to the finals 7 years in a row, 8 times
this is
total.
Getting off topic.
Yeah, it's off topic.
LeBron is.
Sam,
here comes your Michael
you could probably put him.
bashing. All right.
You could probably put him higher than I have him at 7.
He would get double teamed by great defensive teams. The NBA
I'm cutting you off.
was actually competitive when Michael Jordan was around, and now it's like
not competitive now.
It's not competitive. It is not competitive.
It's the most competitive of all time now.
Who wins? It's either the Warriors, the Cavaliers, the Celtics. I even throw in the Rockets.
That doesn't mean it's less competitive.
It is totally uncompetitive.
Gentlemen,
it sucks. Okay, all right, we'll discuss that afterwards.
Please be on the lookout. We are going to all release our top 20 lists. We're going to probably combine them, average out, and see who we all think is the best. I still got to make mine. I know Blaine has to redo his. Nolan might have to continue redoing.
No.
Continue maybe refurbishing it.
We're getting off. Keep going on your list.
All right, so our next...
Wait, no, can I... Yeah, I didn't go over my list, sorry. Am I gonna go over this? I'll just go through it quick. So
name off some people that Nolan did not have on his list.
So I'll read through it. I'll read through it really fast. Number 1, I have Michael Phelps, Tiger Woods, Floyd Mayweather, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Tom Brady, Roger Federer, Sidney Crosby, Derek Jeter, Lionel Messi, Serena Williams. I put Djokovic. What's his name again?
Novak.
Novak Djokovic.
Check.
I put Albert Pujols, Candace Parker, Annika Sorensen, which I think Sorensen I'm gonna put a little higher. I have Shaq, Miguel Cabrera, Shaun White, Lindsey Vonn. At number 20.
Like I said, be on the lookout. We will all be making our own lists, combining and having basically a MinneSports top 20 athletes of all time.
I like it.
Be on the lookout for that.
We'll be better than the ESPN.
Let's hope so.
20.
All right. So now
it can't be worse.
It can't be worse. Well, Nolan's. I don't know.
Now on to some very quick Twins news. There hasn't been much lately. We do have Basilio Polanco. Jorge Polanco. Oh, I'm off out. Jorge Polanco is out for 80 games with a PED suspension. That's going to open up a roster spot for hopefully someone to get up there. And quickly, Ordizzi will be our opening day starter. Any comments on any of that at all?
I don't know too much about Ordizzi, so I don't know what to say about that. No I'm happy we signed a pitcher.
We've signed
a couple pitchers.
A lot of good pitchers.
Yeah. Which is something the Twins very rarely do. It is about time.
Sign players.
Sign anybody in free agency. I
don't think the Twins know what free agency is.
Typical Twins.
Green Bay Packers.
They don't know what free agency is.
Typical Twins build up our foreign players and trade them for draft picks.
And cash considerations. Don't forget about one of these years, cash considerations is going to be one hell of a player.
Well, I am so happy that Joe Mauer is going to be good.
But anyway,
I hate
getting back to the Jorge Polanco, the suspension. That sucks because just when things are looking up for the Twins, boom, Jorge Polanco, 80 games. It's not good.
The curse of the Castillo.
It's going to be Escobar probably now playing shortstop.
Which is a great replacement.
Escobar
is solid. We have a lot of young.
The problem is we might need Escobar for Sano if that Sano suspension ever comes around.
Tough.
So
we'll see.
Escobar is about as good of a backup as you can get, especially with his bat. He's got a good bat.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
Hopefully the Twins can keep it in keep it together for long enough till Polanco comes back, and then make a push for the playoffs here. Yep. All right, Sam, what do we got next?
Wrapping up this, we also have very wild NBA playoff picture all of a sudden. With I can almost say the Eastern Conference is getting very close to being all wrapped up at this point. But if we take a quick look at the Western Conference, we've had a surging Trailblazers team and a Pelicans team without Boogie. Yeah, DeMarcus Cousins. Anthony Davis is just that good.
Yeah. I think, honestly, I'm just going to throw this on. I think that the Pelicans are better without Boogie Cousins because
I agree.
Honestly, I think that players who are really good need to have a big pond. Anthony Davis needs a big pond, and when you have two players that I would say play pretty similar positions. I mean, I would say DeMarcus Cousins is more of a power forward, but when you have two star players on a team like that, it just doesn't work. You look at big huge teams. You got the Red Sox who put together these ridiculous teams that can't play together. The Yankees have managed to do that, but they've had. And then I look at the Dodgers.
Basketball is different.
But I'm going to say that, but
because there's no salary cap in baseball.
But I think it is somewhat
because so many baseball teams they laugh at it. NBA it's taken a little more seriously because as big as baseball is now, they just laugh. Like especially the Los Angeles Dodgers, New York Yankees, or LA Angels, they laugh. They go, there you go.
I still think that there need to be guys who take the back seat and guys who don't in sports. And I just don't think that DeMarcus Cousins, neither Anthony Davis nor DeMarcus Cousins, would ever take a back seat because their games are too similar. They're too dominant, and I don't think they play well enough. I don't watch NBA basketball. I don't watch the Pelicans play. That's just my opinion. I don't think that they can really play together.
I didn't understand that trade, to be honest. I mean, you got Anthony Davis, so let's trade for another Anthony Davis.
Technically,
it didn't make sense to me. You don't see, especially the way the NBA is now. It's a 3-point shooting league. It's not a pounded in the paint league. So you're trading for two. So now you have two guys and nobody who can shoot. It didn't make sense. But Anthony Davis is so good.
He's so good.
He needs to be more in the conversation for MVP.
Exactly.
I agree.
Because it is probably James Harden's at this point.
Just because how high the Rockets are.
Because they can't lose and James Harden's out of his mind. But you consider that the Pelicans losing Boogie and what they've had to go through. I think he deserves some. And they're still in the playoff. They're the 5 seed right now in the West. Although this is all. They're tied with the Spurs. They're a game behind the Thunder. They're 2 games behind the Trailblazers. So this is a really close race. And, Anthony Davis should get some MVP consideration. Our Timberwolves are at 7 right now. What do you think their chances are?
Much higher.
Coming up here?
Much higher. We played a daunting 30 games in a row. 20 of those teams were in the playoffs. Whew. And without Jimmy Butler for most of it, and we still managed to come away not terrible. We could have won a few more games, but we definitely won some games. We definitely were not considered to win against the Warriors. That was a huge game that we went next day to Washington and beat them. Incredible. But if you look at it right now, you have a San Antonio team, New Orleans, and Oklahoma City, even Portland. I think those 4 teams, Minnesota has a very good potential to surpass because Portland and New Orleans have some of the hardest schedules coming up. Oklahoma City, Oklahoma City, to be fair, I think they might stay. But San Antonio, no Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard is suddenly on the fence of even coming back.
There's a lot of turmoil in San Antonio.
I don't know what's going on.
We haven't seen that before, especially with, Greg Popovich has kept his teams really, good chemistry.
I wonder if this is a rage against Popovich. Because, I mean, Kawhi Leonard, I think Kawhi Leonard's fine.
Why would there be any? I mean, Popovich, I could see him as being an arrogant coach. But at the same time,
he's the greatest coach of all time.
But he's so good. He's the Spurs teams are ridiculous. Why? I don't really know why there'd be any
That's
dissent.
something I've never understood. So first it was something with Kawhi's rehab. There was some kind of disagreements about how to proceed in his rehab. I'm not sure what that was and how that would snowball into some kind of vendetta against the organization. But it's hard to believe at this point that Kawhi's going to be sticking around after this year. It doesn't sound like he's coming back.
So he's probably going to get the biggest contract of all time.
What do you think Should we go over this potential landing spots for Kawhi Leonard? What do you think, just off the top of your head? Where do you think he'd go?
Los Angeles is
I was
always
thinking
one.
Los Angeles.
They have the money for 2 max contracts, and I think he's from that LA area, if I remember right.
He went to San Diego State. I don't really know where he's from.
I'm pretty sure he's from the LA area.
I'm thinking an LA team. Out of left field, why not the Philadelphia 76ers?
That's actually
why not?
good
They
idea.
have a lot of money to play with.
LeBron's not going there.
Hell no,
LeBron's
he's
not
not.
either.
Did any of you guys legitimately think LeBron James was going to go to Philadelphia?
No.
Why would
No.
LeBron James go there?
That's stupid advertising. Really,
No.
ESPN bought it, but we didn't.
ESPN.
Kawhi Leonard definitely there. Also, just to wrap it up quick for the Eastern Conference playoffs, the whole Blake Griffin move seems to not be paying off, as Detroit is 5 games back of Milwaukee. Milwaukee's 8 seed. That's crazy.
He's cancer.
The Pistons are just not good. And that's another one, too. Like, you have Andre Drummond, so let's trade for Blake Griffin, because that's going to make a lot of sense, and that's going to help us, especially with the contract. Do you know how much money, like the money he made, it was like a $135 million contract for Blake Griffin. Who wants to be tied up in 5 years of Blake Griffin for that kind of money? I don't understand.
He's been injury ridden. I think he's cancer. He's not that good.
He's washed up. He's not that good of a player.
I don't even think he ever was. DeAndre Jordan. I would take DeAndre Jordan.
To be honest, I would too,
Blake
because he's a better defender.
Yeah,
Blake Griffin could probably score a little more. Maybe his shot's a little bit better, but he's still not a great shooter.
Yeah,
he can dunk.
Exactly.
He can.
But he's at 6'11". He can, wow, 6'11". You can't dunk. And being like 200, he's like 230 at least, 240.
Yeah, I mean
he's a big guy, but
that was a terrible trade.
I think it's awful.
Yeah. What do you think about the Eastern Conference? Most people kind of see this, Golden State Warriors, Cleveland Cavaliers collision going again.
That's going to change.
What about in the
NBA's
Eastern
terrible.
Conference, there's Toronto, and in the Western Conference, there's Houston.
I've heard
what
that
do you guys' chances are on?
heard DeMar DeRozan's chokes.
Always chokes in the
time.
playoffs. It's the same. Him and Kyle Lowry. All of a sudden, one of them gets hurt. I think the only team that has a chance to unseat any of those teams would be the Houston Rockets. If they can keep up their 3-point game, who can stop them? Not even Golden State can stop them. Mike D'Antonio has executed very nice system down there where they rotate around, open 3 every time. Just give James Harden the ball.
I'm a huge fan of Chris Paul.
I don't care how much he ball hogs. If he keeps winning games.
Yeah, he keeps winning
And
games.
Chris Paul? Yes.
Yeah, I love Chris Paul. He's really underrated. He's awesome. So I think the Rockets.
Think about this one though.
Rockets. What?
Chris Paul, James Harden, and Clint Capella. When all 3 of those guys have been healthy, they've lost 1 game.
You can't.
Really?
They're a bigger big 3 than Golden State Warriors.
They've lost 1 game.
They are.
That's unbelievable.
4 in Golden State, no 4.
And to be honest, I like Chris Paul more than Steph Curry. I think he's better. Steph Curry, I think, has quickly become one of the most overrated players in the NBA because of his shooting abilities.
Yeah.
I think Steph Curry's the greatest shooter in the history of the NBA.
Probably.
But that doesn't make him the best
over
player.
Steve Kerr?
Over Steve Kerr.
Yeah, he's much better than Steve Kerr. Easily.
But
even though I hate to say that, but
I don't know how people got so wrapped up in the Steph Curry shooting threes that he's just automatically the best player in the NBA. I don't think he's
poison the youth systems.
Yes, when Mark Jackson said that a couple years ago about Steph Curry's ruining basketball, he's really not too far off.
I mean, did you just hear about that rule change that the USA Basketball just made for people from kids from ages 8 to 11? There will be no more such thing as a 3-point. Everything's 2.
Interesting. I like that.
It's going to encourage better shooting forms because we've seen Lonzo Ball and the stupid shooting forms coming.
LaMelo Ball.
Because those kids at such a young age are encouraged to heave the ball.
Yeah.
And that somehow ends up in college. No.
Well, part of it, too, is, Steph Curry, the analytics is part of what's ruining basketball, too, because everybody looks at Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors. They have they've had, before they had just, Klay Thompson and Steph Curry before Durant. They had Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, and they had a cast of people who were all pretty good shooters.
Yeah, Green, Iguodala.
Yeah. Not everybody
Barnes.
Can shoot like Steph Curry. So that's why analytics are like, because they can make this many threes and they win games, that you have to shoot this many threes. No. You should play a style of basketball that benefits you the most. Yeah. If you're not a good 3-point shooter, you can't shoot 15 threes a game.
Yeah.
If you're a bad three-point shooting team, like the Wolves, they don't shoot all that many threes, and they still are one of the top 5 scoring teams in the NBA because they play a style of basketball that works for them.
Yeah.
That's that's one thing that people need to realize.
Well,
Agree. Steph Curry.
Any final thoughts for today? Any closing? Anything?
I don't think so.
Extra activity you want to add?
Final thoughts. I don't know.
This should be. I think it's going to be a really interesting game.
Should we go pick who's going to be in the finals this year? Go through it.
Very quick final four. Go.
As far as
Almost no explanation.
Oh gosh. I'm gonna say Kentucky. I'm gonna say there's no way that Michigan probably can beat Gonzaga. It's either gonna be between Michigan and Gonzaga, and then I think it's gonna be. I'm gonna throw this out. Kansas. Duke is gonna lose, and I'm gonna say Villanova.
All right. My final thoughts are well. You know what? I'm gonna go completely out of left field on this, but I think if Haas is okay to go, Purdue will win the East region. Jim Boeheim, Syracuse is gonna pull it off. They'll win the Midwest region. Let's go. Michigan in the West. Michigan's gonna pull it out. They're gonna. I know it's tough. I think A&M has a chance to beat them, but I just think Michigan's gonna click and just pull out. And up there, I think Kentucky. They will not take the poison, and John Calipari's team will end up in the.
Yeah, Nevada is not gonna. The only other team that could beat Kentucky is Nevada, and Nevada is not gonna beat Kentucky.
Right. So I'm gonna say
a cakewalk.
I'm gonna say Kentucky, Michigan, Duke, and Villanova.
Okay.
Villanova.
So that goes.
And I think Villanova's gonna win it all.
Villanova is still an offensive juggernaut. Their defense is great. They've got star players.
All right. To close it out quick, this is totally going off script, but my Minnesota United are currently right now second in the Western Conference, and they have just landed Quintero
I don't know what
from
that
Club
means.
America. And they're going to go play in New York next week for the, number 1 spot in the Western Conference.
I do have a question for you about the Minnesota United.
Go right ahead.
Have they found a goalie with arms yet?
And so, to close out this podcast, please make sure...
Are they running and kicking the ball really well,
Are they still on pace to have the most goals ever scored against?
So, if you enjoyed this podcast, please enjoy our conversations on our Reddit page on r-MinneSports. And also, make sure to look out for tweets on us on MinneSports 5. And also... leave a like on our YouTube page on MinneSports. This is Sam.
This is Nolan.
This is Blaine.
And thank you for listening.